Good evening. Prior to the start of the scheduled town board meeting this evening, there will be a public hearing to be held in front of the town board to solicit public input on a request by George Irwin on behalf of the owners Kellen H. Wesson and Amy E. Thomas et al. And the Robert G. and Ann B. Thomas Revocable Trust and Amy E. Thomas et al. For annexation of parcels of land generally located east of Glen Cove Road, north of County DR, otherwise known as Gulf Road, and west of Elmhurst Road, also known as tax key parcels DELT 0809-995 and DELT 0811-999 into the Lake Pewaukee Sanitary District, LPSD. The regularly scheduled town board meeting will begin immediately following the conclusion of this public hearing. Is there anybody here for the public hearing that would like to speak? Seeing that nobody is here for the public hearing for LPSD, I will close the public hearing and I will call to order the Town of Delafield Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2024. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Administrator Green, if you will please call the roll.
Supervisors Mahoney Ogden,
Present.
Michaels,
Here.
Wolfley,
Present.
Chairman Kranek.
Present.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments, public comments from citizens regarding items on or not on the agenda. The board may not engage in discussion with the citizens making the comments. Individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and citizens shall follow the rules set forth in section 2.04 paren 1 paren D of the Town Code. Seeing there are no citizens' comments, I will move on to item 5, approval of the minutes for the January 23rd, 24 meeting.
Did anybody else look it over besides me? And I had been talking to Dan, and so I missed that we were actually doing this today because I've spent hours on it. And I did just send Dan a review and everything verbatim, which is hundreds of pages, which we don't want to do. So if our goal is to get it motion, is that our goal, Dan, is we need to get them approved today? Or does anybody else have any other feedback?
Yeah, my feedback is either we take the transcript verbatim from YouTube, or we change the minutes to strictly the motions and let people reference the YouTube video.
And I don't think we should do, I think there was so much information that I don't think we should, I think we need to, I think the discussion was good, and I think Dan did a great job of summarizing. There was so much information.
Well, that's what
So-
the video will
Right, and the
accomplish.
video will help. So I think we've got to start. I did send you, so I guess I motion to approve. I sent you verbatim, just feedback that I sent to Dan already, that he can peek at, anybody else can peek at too. And then it was a little fuzzy though at the end, when things got a little ugly there. Let me see, at the very, very end, with all the motions, and let me see here.
I haven't seen the reviews because I don't know when you got them to Dan, but it was not in a manner timely for us to have an opinion to review it. I'm also not interested in delaying the approval of these minutes any further. It's 2 months old. So
Why don't we just go to the motions?
I'll
mean,
move to,
And I don't think so. I think there's too much good information in there. I don't think we should go to the motions. People will go to look at the meeting, but I think Dan already took the time to put a lot in there, and I took the time to add things too. And I really want to make sure that we have whatever Newman is saying written, so I think we either go with what we have. I'd be happy to, Dan, I did send him the things. We can read them out if you want to go through. There's just a handful of items throughout it.
but when did you get this to Dan?
I just sent it today. I actually didn't realize we were doing them today. I just talked to Dan about it. I did not realize we were actually doing them today, so, because I had a whole series of, I agree we need to get them done, but I knew Magley was gonna be gone. I thought she was looking, I knew you said, Joe,
Yeah,
you were
but the
looking at
agenda
them
was,
too.
these were on the
They were on
minutes
the
from the
agenda,
agenda.
yeah. I didn't pay attention to the date that we were doing them, because I did talk to Dan and said that I knew we discussed how painful it was to listen to it all again. I spent hours doing it, just to make sure everybody was represented correctly, especially our developer. I want to make sure that what he said is, is out there, so we know some of the things that he had said too. So that was part of what I wanted to make sure was written on there. So I motion we approve them with the changes I sent to Dan, unless you guys want to, you can look them over. And I still feel like the very end gets a little muddy, and I didn't touch the end. That's why we've got a transcript.
I'm not going to second that motion. I don't know if you,
I haven't seen the changes.
right,
so
I haven't seen the changes, so I'm not going to second that motion.
I think what Dan wrote was mostly accurate, so I think that's better than just putting motions. It's too important of a meeting to just put motions. So I think and again, I don't think I think it was just so much information. I was trying to be helpful. So sorry we didn't get it sooner. And
No, I mean, I
It'd been
understand
nice
it.
if we could have sat around a round table, which we can't, and just do it together, so we all would have been able to, say, I'll take this section, you take this section. That would have been the right thing to have done, to split it up, since it was so much. That's why I think I did a lot till the end, and the end just got so crazy.
Well, I don't think this body benefits from arguing over the minutes with each other. There's plenty of important things that we debate. I don't think this needs to be one of them. I mean, there's a video that's over it. I think if the chairman or the administrator's open to it, we could certainly pass these minutes, and if there are modest changes in the future, we could vote to amend the minutes once we've been given a review, should we choose to. But we can enter minutes into the record and have amendments in the future. Is that against protocol, or
I
is
think
that?
my only concern is Terry had some comments and suggestions, and wants certain things verbatim in the minutes. I also had a call from another person that thought that the minutes weren't representative and wanted different things that weren't noted here added, and I think we just open up a can of worms when we start, trying to get certain things verbatim and some things not. I would be open to just doing motion minutes, maybe not for these particularly, but moving forward, just so that there's no ambiguity in what's being said. I'm trying to take motions in an unbiased fashion in which I get summaries of what you guys say. That meeting was a little bit more difficult because we had a lot of distractions in that meeting as well. So I don't want to say one way or the other what to do tonight, but moving forward, maybe to avoid that issue, we can just do motion minutes. It would make my life easier because I can maybe more participate in conversation or answer questions without being distracted on what I have to type.
Yeah,
next.
two separate issues. I've always preferred a style of minutes that's just motions. It's an incredible glut on staff's time to produce minutes as somebody that's had to do it in my professional career. So I mean, that's a separate discussion as to what the minutes reflect moving forward as to what these minutes are. But in general, I support just motion minutes for lots of reasons, especially, the conversational minutes are probably a relic of a time where we didn't have a video of the proceedings. So we have that now, should there be questions on specific words. I don't want us to argue over minutes, but
I thought your suggestion was good, Steve. Let's pass the minutes, and but if you have a chance to look at some of the changes that potentially have come in, we can always do an amendment. And if not, at least we've got these minutes, which are better than just motions.
I'm not interested in the amendments that come after the amendments that come after the amendments that come. That ultimately gets us to a verbatim.
Mr. Chairman, do you have an opinion on it?
Yeah, Dan did a really good job, I think, of capturing the essence of what occurred that evening in a very non-biased way, the best that he could. And I think the minutes as they're prepared, he did a really good job. And I think that it is a dangerous precedent if we open ourselves up to be able to, amend the minutes. Where do you draw the line? And, I think, the essence of what occurred that evening is captured in the minutes that are presented in front of us. And I would ask that those minutes be accepted into the record, and that in the future, to the administrator's point, we have the YouTube video for the verbatim, if people want to go back and watch what would happen. Ultimately, the minutes and the purpose of the minutes is just to really capture the motions and what happened. So I would suggest, moving forward, that we just focus on the motions and refer to the video for the transcript, if that's what we want to do, or if we really want the transcript, we can talk about what the cost would be to do what the city of Delafield does and send them off and have a court reporter transcribe them. But I don't believe that that's a good use of taxpayer money to do that. I think that, Dan has done a really good job in his time here as clerk, administrator, treasurer in preparing these minutes.
And I'm not interested in delaying the approval of these minutes. I'd be fine with reviewing minute proposal changes, but not when we don't get them prior to a meeting. That puts the rewrite of the minutes strictly in your hands and not an opportunity for anyone else on the board to agree, approve, or make adjustments accordingly as well.
Yeah, I thought you were doing them too. I thought you had said you were going to.
I asked if you were going to have them, that I'd please like to see them before we got to the meeting. So I reviewed a couple of the things that I was concerned being represented in the minutes. And again, as Ed had mentioned, while it's not verbatim, I think that Dan does a good job of capturing the essence of what was there, and that the YouTube video is a record of exactly what was said in the tone that it was said in the time that it was said, which is even more accurate than adjusted minutes. And that ultimately, if someone is concerned on having the verbatim representation of what was said, they can probably click through and find it a whole lot faster than page through and read it.
I'll motion to approve the January 23rd, 2024 minutes as presented.
Second?
There's a motion and a second on the floor to approve the January 23rd minutes as presented. I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor of approving the January 23rd, 2024 minutes as presented, vote aye.
Aye.
Again, I'm approving it because I do think, and I've said that all along, I think you did a great job. I just was wanting to make sure that, everything got in there because there was so much important information, and, it's where you couldn't have possibly done it all. So are we talking now about the future?
No, that's not on the agenda.
And just
But
so
I'm-
you know, I passed along not your first email, but your second email to
Oh,
the
the one
board.
with the
too,
100.
'cause-
I mean, I just thought, well, if he had, it's not a court reporter, but it was all the boards.
But I'm,
I just didn't.
So the minutes are approved 4-0. The next item would be the approval of the March 12th, 2024 board minutes. Hopefully those are a little bit less controversial.
motion to approve March 12th, 2024 town board minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the March 12th, 2024 town board minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next item, item 6, actions on vouchers submitted for payments. There are no actions to amend the 2023 budget or 24 budget, so I would look for a motion on accounts payable and payroll, please.
I will motion to approve payment of checks 67449 through 67450 and checks 67453 through 67478 in the amount of $39,472.04 Further, I would motion to approve payrolls dated March 29th, 2024 in the amount of $15,870.58.
Second.
Motion is second to approve accounts payable and payroll. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Accounts payable and payroll are approved. Next item, the communication, Cassandra Motorsports Special Event Permit. I'll turn this over to Administrator Dan Green.
Sure, yeah, so Cassandra's did some car shows last year, and they're looking to do some again this year. They have an event that the donations are contributed to Children's Hospital. They will be having a food vendor, and they know to get a direct seller's permit, so I'm waiting on that application. The car show will be, the one here will be on June 8th, 2023. They were, or 2024, sorry, that date is wrong. They were instructed to contact the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department if they need any traffic controls. Typically, that area isn't too bad, but just in case there are backups that go to KE from, I believe it's Highway JK there. They have some smaller events are listed too, May 11th.
These are all 2024, though. Is that right?
These are all 24, yeah. I think she
Okay.
just mistook on the date there, but the large one coming up is that June 8th event.
And there were no issues at the.
No, we had none last year.
Just for awareness.
Yep. Motion to approve the.
There's no motion.
Just an update.
Oh, all right, well, even easier.
And you'll get the application updated to reflect 24?
Yeah, I can change it in the PDF.
Unfinished business, there is none. New business, item 9A, discussion of possible action on the adoption of Resolution 24-667, a resolution to authorize the annexation of lands into the Lake Pewaukee Sanitary District.
Yeah, so we received a letter February 28th from the sanitary district. They had an application, I guess you'd say, from the Thomas family to annex 2 parcels of the 3 parcels in the Thomas land into the sanitary district. They had a board meeting on the 20th and unanimously approved the transfer of land to the sanitary district. We had 30 days from the time we were notified to hold a public hearing in order to get the annexation complete, which we were within that time frame. There is a resolution to the effect that ultimately would approve the annexation of the 2 parcels of the 3. The 3rd parcel is already in the sanitary district. This property was always designated to be in the sanitary district, so it shouldn't be a surprise that this would come, whether it was being developed, by Newman or anybody else. So,
Motion to approve the resolution 24667 to authorize the annexation of land into the Pewaukee Lake Sanitary District. Fax key number DELT 080996. Oh, I'm sorry, that's one's already in there. DELT 08099995 and DELT 08099996 and DELT 08119999 into the sanitary district.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table to adopt the resolution 24-667 to authorize the annexation of the lands into the Lake Pewaukee Sanitary District. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted 4-0. Next item is a discussion and possible action on Resolution 24-668, a resolution authorizing town staff to place 4 additional no parking signs on both sides of Edgewater Drive near Pewaukee Yacht Club.
sure. So we received an email from Mr. Quorum regarding the PYC. There's currently 2 no parking signs on each side of Edgewater Drive, but they're still, because I think of the spacing of where those signs are, they're still getting some violators who are parking there. And for, I think, the ease of law enforcement, the request would be to add 2 additional signs. There's a map showing where the current signs are and where the proposed new signs would be placed. From a staff standpoint, I talked to our highway superintendent. We don't have any issues. We just would want to make sure that the enforcement is occurring, which would basically be like I had mentioned, call the non-emergency number if something happens, or internal enforcement, however you want to do that. And then also that the cost of the signs and installation would be on the yacht club for the signs and for the guys' installation time, which I couldn't imagine would be very much. But yeah, that would be staff's recommendation.
Anybody have any questions from the petitioner? Okay.
I guess just along the lines of,
Can you come up if we're going to ask you some questions, please?
Yeah, so, we've had a great relationship with the town since 1960. 58 years we've been working with you guys, conditionally.
Dan, sorry, can you step over the microphone? Thanks.
So great relationship with the town. We appreciate that. We thank you guys for that. We're in an exploratory situation, looking at properties, looking at the future of sailing and what we can do with along Edgewater Drive together with the Pewaukee Lake Sailing School. And during that process, we had got some comments from some neighbors about traffic congestion, parking and whatnot. We hadn't heard any of that before. So we want to be proactive, and as a yacht club, we want to address that ahead of time. And we feel that with the no parking signs, again, we're going to have to do some first, watching and enforcing of it. But it's going to be easier for our membership to know that that's not, you can't park. We want to get people into those parking lots south of us, and that's where they drop off, and that's where they do all that. Keep the congestion down on the street. So that's what we're basically looking at. And we feel that we're not changing anything that's happening there. We're just, with additional signs, it'll help happen. We also have a lot of visitors, and unfortunately, people at yacht clubs think that they own the whole place. And if we don't have signage and we don't do a good job, we get hurt and we get pinched, and we don't want that to happen. So we'd love to, have you guys make this a resolution. Reached out to Magali when a year or so ago, talked about how to get signs. She, forwarded things to Dan and to Ed to get this stuff done. So, not to make a long presentation here, we're willing to pay. I think that's only fair, because otherwise you guys are going to be putting signs up all over the place.
right. And yeah, I mean, my as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you guys, you're willing to pay for it. You're willing to, pay to replace them if they need to be replaced, that kind of stuff. I guess the clarity is just on that, the enforcement still lies on your hands and.
100%, yep.
Department and
Yep.
well, non-emergency number and everything else like that.
Right.
We can't do any additional.
Right, and frankly, it's, our members, our guests are using the properties, yeah, we want to police it. We don't want to have,
Tickets.
law enforcement down there. That just isn't a good deal for everybody, so, yeah.
And it sounds like, based off of where this project started, this will be received positively by the neighbors to your west.
Yeah, and that's where all the neighbors are, actually,
Yeah.
that's all the residential, because when you come in, you've got parking lot, of course, sanitary district is on the north side, then there's a home that the yacht club owns, as we're going on the south side, coming from SS there, and then there's a private property, which is, nobody really lives on that, there's a building on there, a little spot, piece of land that we don't know who owns, and then it all gets into yacht club stuff, and then it gets into Demecki Court, and what are there, 4 houses, I think, on the lake before it's a dead end? Yeah. So, and we got to work with our neighbors. We want to work with our neighbors.
Well, and I think obviously you'll be successful if we communicate to the members,
Yep.
especially PLSS, so that they recognize that these are here, because you're really asking you not to stop in the middle of the street and take your boats out and stop the traffic. That's why these signs are here, and so
Right.
obviously you guys will.
Yep, 100%, Terry, exactly what we're trying to do, and we just think with signage, it makes it a little more official, that it's not us just barking at people to do it, so. we can't be out there all the time, so hopefully the signs people can read.
Great, appreciate it.
Thank you.
For a motion to.
Motion to approve resolution 24668, authorizing town staff to place the additional 4 no parking signs on both sides of Edgewater Drive near Pewaukee Yacht Club.
Second.
Motion is second to adopt the resolution to place the additional signs. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries 4-0. Next item, item C, discussion possible action on the renewal of a lease agreement with Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors for the use of Fire Station Number 2 located at W329S690 County Road C. Administrator Green.
This was an original 3-year lease with Wisconsin Hero Outdoors. The lease hasn't changed much. The only thing that has changed is there's a 6.25% increase in the lease. A big piece of that has to do with that we've added snow removal. It was difficult because we agreed to remove snow, but at a cost. So then every time there would be a snow, they would ask us to remove it, and then we'd have to charge them back. And then it would be once all the routes were done, we'd go back to that location and remove the snow. And I think that's still how it's going to operate. They want to make sure the main roads are done before they go back and plow this out. But it'll be kind of understood that they will be clearing, removing the snow after a major snow hits. So that's a partial reason for the increase and just inflation. So we kind of negotiated the terms a little bit and came to this number. Everything else in the agreement is the same. I know the lessees wanted to include a first right of refusal in the case that we ever sold the property. Talking to the attorney, that is something that would be done more at an annual meeting for the with the town of electors. So we can still discuss that. I think she's still discussing the possibility of doing that with their attorneys as well. So right now that's not in this. So otherwise, no other changes. It's another 3-year lease.
Did they express an interest in purchasing it, or they just?
Yeah,
have the
they have
option?
since they've leased it.
Okay.
Great, motion to approve the renewal of the lease agreement with Wisconsin Hero Outdoors for the use of Fire Station Number 2 located on County Road C.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the lease with Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors for Fire Station Number 2 for a period between April 1st, 2024, expiring midnight, March 31st, 2027. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The lease agreement is approved by the town board. Next item, item D, discussion possible action on the sale of a 2001 Sterling plow truck. Again, I'll refer to Administrator Green.
Sure. So in the beginning of the year, we decided to purchase a second chassis because we wanted to make sure that we could get our hands on one, and we got our hands on one a lot sooner than we anticipated. So the chassis has been delivered to Casper and is being outfitted already. So with that, the end of the snow season, we want to sell the truck that this will be replacing. Even at the last snowstorm, they didn't use it because they anticipated the sale of it. So we've been fine. The highway supervisor doesn't anticipate us needing to use the 01 Sterling. This one's in a little better shape than the last one that we sold, so we're looking to hopefully get $25,000 for it if we can. We're trying to sell in other ways besides the surplus auction, so we actually have been displaying it by our skate park with a sign on it, and there has been some interest. So we're going to continue to try and sell it that way since we're not really in a hurry to sell it. We just want to get it done this year. So I would recommend the sale because we don't need the piece of equipment at this point. So
Have we thought about putting it, I mean, I know the Wisconsin surplus site because we go on it, but is there such a thing for like Minnesota or some other, I mean, would we do something else, place it somewhere else since we're in no hurry to see if somebody else is?
we can take a look at the issue with those auctions. We'd want to make sure that the minimum bid is set to a price that we
Right,
really want.
definitely.
So I don't have a problem with necessarily even putting it on the surplus auction, but to make sure that we have that minimum bid. And what Wisconsin auction does is if we get a $23,000 offer and we have a $25,000 reserve, they'll let us know that an offer came in, and then we can decide whether or not we want to do that. I've never looked into other state auctions before. We can. I don't know if they charge a fee for out-of-state
Oh,
places and things like that, but we can certainly check that. I think what we'd really like to do is just try and sell it outright, put it out on Facebook, because there's a lot of places around here, landscape companies and construction companies.
it is, it's.
We're gonna put it, I waited until tonight to
Got it,
do any
okay.
major advertising, but like I said, we have time, so we have time to do the advertising and see what kind of offers come in. So, but right now, I just need approval to sell an
The
asset.
surplus sites charge a commission for the,
They charge the buyer, they don't charge us.
Oh, okay.
So they have to
Oh,
pay an
that's
extra
handy.
12% or something
Yeah.
like that, so, which also can discourage people from going too high.
Generally, we set a minimum on these things because we're using the auction site. Do you want us to set a minimum with your?
I
Alternate
don't want to
processes,
set
huh?
a minimum because if we do get 23 or 24 and Don and I think that that's a good price, then we'll go for it. But 25 is kind of the ideal number we'd really like to get. But we don't want to get anything less than a certain number, so I wouldn't necessarily set a price. But we're not going to sell it for, 15,000 like the other truck. I know that. If you want to, you certainly can, and then we can keep trying to get to that point. But a lot of we may think it's worth 30,000, and it might only be worth 22,000. So I don't want to set something too high that we might not get.
We're doing it at the end of the season, so people aren't necessarily, like, it's not like the beginning of the season and theirs broke, so.
Well, but these plow trucks are often used for different things. They are used in landscaping companies, construction companies, hauling rocks. They're not just used as
Okay.
plow trucks. So
so you'd be looking for a motion to approve the listing, and then would we need to approve the sale, or is it kind of approve the
Yeah, so any,
sale, and then
Just
whatever
a-
you take, as long as you guys are good with it? we
yeah,
yeah, so any motion that I would foresee would be to approve the sale of the equipment, and then I would say at
At
a
discretion.
price at the discretion of the town administrator.
And to Terry, to your point, if we are selling it and we do get better offers in September, because maybe somebody does really need a plow truck, we don't have any issue with holding on to it until then and then selling it. But at least we have the authority from the board to do so. So we can kind of navigate, what the market is now for it. And if we're not getting the offers, we'll hold on to it until September and then sell it then. So, but
A motion to approve the sale of the truck at the discretion of Dan and Don's pricing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the sale of the 21 Sterling, or 01 Sterling plow truck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The approval of the sale is approved 4-0. Next item, announcements and planning items. Next Tuesday, there's a spring election and presidential preference. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. The town board meeting, originally scheduled for Tuesday, April 9th, is canceled. The annual meeting of electors is April 16th at 6:30, and then it will be followed by the town board meeting after that. So that will be the only town board meeting in April on the 16th. And the next item would be an adjournment motion.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned 4-0.